Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving into a genuinely fascinating story called The Eternal Melody of Black Hollow Manor. Now, we're not just looking at your run-of-the-mill, spooky folklore here. No, we're going to break down the actual mechanics of this local legend. It's this wild blend of horror, mystery, and, surprisingly, supernatural romance. So, let's figure out what was really hiding in the dark.
So picture this. We're deep in the dense, rainy forest of Oregon, looking at an abandoned property known as Black Hollow Manor. For nearly 80 years, this massive place has sat completely empty. In the local legend, it is absolutely terrifying. The whole town believes the mansion is haunted by the restless spirit of a young woman who only appears after midnight. They say most people who entered never returned. Just let that sink in for a second. That is one seriously deadly reputation to cultivate.
Section 1. The Legend of Black Hollow, 80 Years of Fear.
This is where our protagonist enters the picture, Ethan Carter. He's a 26-year-old explorer, and he actually makes his living investigating supposedly haunted places for his massive online audience. But here's the thing. Here's what's really interesting about Ethan. Despite his career, he literally doesn't believe in ghost stories at all. The guy is a total skeptic. So on one particularly stormy evening, he makes the extremely bold, some might say crazy decision to spend the night inside Black Hollow Manor, just to see what all the fuss is about.
Right away, the sheer, overwhelming atmosphere hits him. He walks up to the house, and the rusty front door just slowly creaks open, completely on its own. A rush of freezing cold air smacks him in the face, and his flashlight immediately starts flickering. The sensory details here are just chilling. As he's walking through these halls, he's surrounded by old furniture, broken mirrors, dust-covered paintings. Every single room looks totally frozen in time, and it's all blanketed in this complete, heavy silence.
Which brings us to the big question. Was the spirit truly evil? Because suddenly, that heavy silence is broken. Out of nowhere, Ethan hears the soft, delicate sound of a piano playing upstairs. He follows the music, creeping into a grand ballroom, and the second he steps inside, the playing stops. But standing right beside the piano, it's not some terrifying monster. It's a beautiful young woman wearing an old white dress. Her pale blue eyes meet his. She smiles this gentle smile and whispers that she's been waiting for someone right before disappearing into thin air.
Section 2. Meeting the Lonely Spirit. The Girl at the Piano. So Ethan, understandably needing some answers, decides to go back to the manor for a second night. And guys, this is where we see a massive pivot in our story. The local rumors had painted this picture of an evil, deadly spirit, right? One that just takes the lives of anyone who walks in. But when Ethan finally speaks with her, she introduces herself as Lillian. And he discovers something huge. She isn't evil at all. In fact, she is profoundly lonely and trapped. It completely flips the entire narrative we were introduced to at the start of this explainer. From there, Ethan and Lillian start talking for hours, every single night. She starts showing him the manor's incredible secrets. We're talking hidden rooms behind moving bookshelves, crazy secret passages beneath the mansion, old journals filled with mysterious symbols. It's literally like every classic horror trope manifesting right in front of him. But as they explore deeper, things start getting genuinely dangerous. Ethan begins noticing dark shadows actively watching them from the corners. Strange whispers start echoing through the empty hallways. It becomes incredibly clear that someone or something absolutely does not want Ethan anywhere near Lillian. Section 3. Uncovering the Dark Truth. The Diary's Secret. It all comes together when Ethan finds an old diary that reveals the actual truth, laying out the tragic mechanics of her curse. So 80 years ago, Lillian fell in love with a young artist. But shortly after, the terribly jealous owner of the mansion trapped her inside a hidden room, and she never escaped. For decades, her spirit was just bound to the house, waiting endlessly. But she was waiting for someone who would look at her not with fear, but with kindness. Which brings us right to the present day, when Ethan finally shows up and gives her exactly that. So the question is, how do you free a trapped soul? Because the very moment Ethan finishes reading that diary, all hell breaks loose. The entire mansion starts shaking violently. The lights completely explode. These terrifying dark shadow creatures emerge from every single corner of the room, totally surrounding Lillian. She's crying out, saying they won't let her leave. The tension right here is off the charts, and Ethan is instantly forced into this terrifying confrontation.
Section 4. Breaking the Shadow Curse. The Silver Locket.
Now, even as the walls are cracking and windows are literally shattering all around him, Ethan refuses to run away. Under this immense pressure, he remembers the diary's instructions. He frantically searches the hidden room while these shadows are attacking, and he manages to locate Lillian's old silver locket. That locket was the exact object holding her soul captive. Using every ounce of his remaining strength, he pushes through and places that locket directly into Lillian's hands. The result? This blinding, intense white light completely fills the mansion. The shadows let out a scream and then they just disappear forever.
Section 5. An Eternal Love Story. The Morning Light. With the shadow curse finally broken, the whole atmosphere of the house just completely shifts. For the very first time in decades, Lillian actually looks alive. Warm tears roll down her face, and she whispers to him, "I thought I would spend eternity alone." I mean, just think about the weight of that sentence for a second. 80 years trapped in total isolation and darkness. That right there is the emotional core of this entire story. And Ethan just smiles. He responds with such incredible compassion, telling her, "You never have to be alone again." And what's so beautifully detailed in the source material here is that as she gently takes his hand, for the first time, he can actually feel her touch. It's no longer cold, it's no longer empty, it's just warm. The sensory details perfectly mirror this amazing shift from a story of horror right into one of romance. As the first bright rays of sunrise start shining into the grand mansion, Lillian's physical body slowly begins fading into this beautiful, glowing light. She whispers to him, "I'll always find my way back to you." She kisses his forehead, and then she vanishes completely into the morning light. It is this incredibly bittersweet, deeply moving farewell to a spirit who'd been trapped for so long. Flash forward a few months later, and the aftermath is just undeniable. Black Hollow Manor has completely transformed. It is no longer a haunted house. In fact, visitors now claim the property just feels remarkably peaceful. But you know, that connection they forged, it absolutely remains. Because every single full moon, a soft piano melody echoes through those empty halls. And as for Ethan, he always finds a single white rose waiting on the piano for him. He smiles every time he sees it because he knows exactly who left it. Which leaves us with this final, lingering question. Do some love stories never truly end? What started out as an exploration of a terrifying 80-year-old myth evolved into this incredible testament to kindness and connection. Ethan broke a curse not with force, but with understanding, turning a site of tragedy into a place of enduring romance. It really makes you rethink every local legend you've ever heard, doesn't it? Well, thank you so much for walking through this amazing story with me on today's Explainer, and remember to always keep questioning the stories around you.